Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Get up, wake up, this is your final warning. It's time for Midnight's Edge in the morning. The gang is ready to go and it's time for the show. It's time for Midnight's Edge in the morning.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning on this lovely Monday, the 13th. Good thing it's not Friday the 13th, although some people are having outages, so it may as well have been. I'm, of course, referring to Tom, who may or may not join us later. Meanwhile, I am joined by Paulie of Latino Slant and Midnight's Edge Espanol fame. ¿Qué tal?
Hey, aquí estamos. Let's get going.
Yeah. Also joining us is Marvin Montanaro of That Park Place and Tooneytown TV fame.
Hey, glad to be back, guys. Very excited to talk about this weekend's box office.
Trying to tickle
this is
your
gonna
ear,
be a little
man.
Doozy. Yeah. Also here for the box office, everything else is Mr. Chris Brawley of Bleeding Fool fame, who just celebrated their anniversary.
8 years old. Yeah, never
Wow,
thought I'd be so young
congratulations.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Glad to be here. Happy Monday. Got my coffee ready. Let's just try not to wake up our next panelist family.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, because Mr. Chato, he's only here for a limited time today because he has family over because they have a lot to be thankful for. Ain't that right, Mr. Chato?
Yes, it's Canadian Thanksgiving.
You guys even have a parade?
No, we don't make that big a deal of killing our indigenous people like you guys.
Oh, speaking of, it's Happy Columbus Day, everybody.
Killing indigenous people.
Ah, por Dios.
Hey, what
Yeah.
are you doing here, Paulie? Shouldn't you be cleaning out pools or something?
Don't make me bust out that meme, biatch. I got that meme ready.
Yeah, just so you know, folks, he was really mean to me offline, so I'm just giving it to him now.
Oh, God. Another one. Another just, pretendian.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
an Indian. You're a pretendian.
pretendian. I'm not a pretendian. But that was coined by my good friend Drew Taylor, who actually is an indigenous person and a very funny playwright. I've been good friends with him for a long time.
Yeah.
I if you're online there, Drew.
Yeah, and speaking of online, Tom is also here, probably from mobile, so he may or may not be online, depending on connection. Tom, are you there? Are you?
Mobile only.
Mobile. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in a
exactly.
car.
I'm in
Yeah.
a car.
Yeah.
It's in Mobile, Alabama.
I'm here to complain about Paul Chato.
Which then you need to be screaming.
I'm screaming in a car about Paul Chato.
Someone else is screaming this week as well. We're just going to get going here because we only
Jared
have...
Leto.
Exactly. That's who Disney is screaming about right now. And we only have Chato for a limited time here. And he's our resident box office guru of the day, since he has stable internet, unlike some other areas. So let's go straight into the box office here. And the big winner this weekend, of course, to the extent of which there was any winners this weekend, is at number one position, Tron Ares. But if there ever was a Pyrrhic victory, it's this one. Because Tron Ares came in, this is the most recent estimates, at 33.5 million. Now, before anyone celebrates this as a big win, remember, as we said in our post-mortem of it, which we published yesterday, the estimates going into the weekend were 45 to 50 million. So This
Before
is,
that, I saw 80 to
quite a
90.
shortfall.
Some outlets were saying 80 to 90, Andre.
That was worldwide. That was
Yeah.
not the domestic figure.
Yes.
That was the worldwide estimate. And of course, the actual worldwide, by all estimates, was 60 million. So also there, the estimates overshot the actuals by 30%. And it's worth noting that even the estimates, if they had happened, that would have been tremendously bad just there. So what you have so far, of course, these figures you cannot that you see on screen right now, that you have to take with a major grain of salt. What we're seeing here is the numbers who are reporting 735,000, but that's early days. The actuals, the worldwide actual by all estimates, is closer to 60 million. So take that number with a grain of salt. We don't have it in detail, but the estimates are as follows: 60 million approximately worldwide, 33.5 million domestically. Nothing to write home about then. I want to hear.
In other
what
words, it's a
everyone has-
race to last place, basically. Sorry.
Kind of. So let's begin with Tron Ares right away. Paulie, why don't you take it away to begin with? What is anyone surprised by this?
No. This is garbage. And anyone promoting, discussing, telling real Tron fans to go watch this. Real Tron fans are gonna love this. They can suck it. They're morons. We pay a lot of money to watch movies. If you do it monthly, whatever it is, but to be deceptive like that, you are a cinematic idiot. Sorry, I'm like trying to really hold back here. But honestly, man, I mean, what is over 200 million to make this this trash?
The official estimate is 180 to 200 million. Is the official estimate that Disney has gone out with public, which tells me the movie cost more than 200 million.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a lot of these expensive movies, and they're just flopping. Even One Battle After Another, Marvin, I believe is technically a flop, even though it's making money.
Yeah.
And these are all just sad bastard stories.
Can someone tell me what's the per theater average that a hit movie needs to hit? Does anyone know?
Well, it depends on how many theaters it opens up in to begin with.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so if a movie opens in 3,000-4,000 screens, and your average is like, $2,000-3,000 a screen, that's pretty freaking good. But I mean, also if you have like a movie that's only on 100 screens and it's doing $10,000 a screen, that's really good too. So I mean, it all just depends. I mean, look, I've seen so many images of people posting this movie full of empty screenings, right? And that's because let's face it, there was nothing else that was out, so you had 20 screens showing Tron Ares, and you had only 5 people going to see it in each theater. So like there was probably tens of empty screens of this movie in every theater anyway.
In my theater, for instance, when I went to see it, and this was a Thursday screening in an area where there is pretty good attendance usually, and it was after working hours, everything like that. So there's no excuse for it not being at the very least half full. There were 3 people in it. That would be the 2 guys that were in the picture that I took posted on X, including the guy who looks like he's taking a leak in the theater, although he really wasn't, and myself who took the picture. So 3 people in that screening. I don't know how many more came in later, but the international numbers for this just they're not great. So again, the estimate is 60 million worldwide, which means that this thing internationally did sub 30 million.
I'm curious what Marvin has to say on this, but like I would say, and of course Chris as well. Paul, I could care less, but no, I'm just kidding.
You don't have to say kidding. I can take it.
No, I know you do. It's for the audience more so because they're like, why is Tom being such a dick to Paul? He deserves it. But I mean, come on. No, like, I mean, this has got to be one of the worst openings for a big box office movie since what, Snow White? If you think about it, because the
It's
expectations
that
for
level,
this thing,
yeah.
yeah, because I have a screenshot from the video that we used yesterday where they were initially the domestic expectations for this were at 50 million.
Yep.
And I think that would be low actually for something like this.
And that article, though, that estimate, 50 million, 45 to 50 million, was from Thursday morning.
Yep.
Yep.
To Paul's query, around 15,000 per screen is probably considered a hit. I know Minecraft, the Minecraft movie was doing something like 38 million its opening weekend per screen. So monster numbers.
Yeah.
But October generally is not when you're going to put out a huge blockbuster movie. I think Disney probably read the tea leaves on this. There is a lot of cope out there on social media, but there's also a lot of it's really divided because apparently there's rumors that or something. Maybe there's more to it than rumors. I really haven't dug in. Bleeding Fools never looked into it about Jared Leto's proclivities for abusive behavior. I'll just leave it there. And I think that Disney didn't see big streaming numbers on Tron or Tron Legacy on the platform. Disney Plus didn't. So, there's never, I mean, I'm going to say something really controversial here because I saw the first Tron and I saw Tron Legacy. I wasn't impressed with either one of them. To me, Tron was boring. It was neat what they were trying to do. I had a hell of a lot more fun at the arcade with Tron than I did in the theater.
Get rid of this guy.
I'm telling, boot me now. But and I only saw Tron Legacy later on home video. I enjoyed it. I liked the music. Olivia Wilde at the time, I didn't know her politics, so I enjoyed her a lot too. And apparently this threw most of all that away. You don't have this massive rabid fan base for Tron out there. I mean, there are some hardcore people that were interested in this, but even those people I think seem to be put off by a few big factors. One, nobody likes Jared Leto. Number two, Tron's not even in this. Number three, it's sort of another girl boss situation. I know the guys at Red Letter Media apparently liked it. And I think that if you were not a big fan of the original material, going in fresh with fresh eyes and not really having any information about the previous films, you might like it. I have no interest in it. And I think it's the end of the Tron film franchise for good, unless Disney wants to do another interesting animated
Maybe in
series.
20 years.
Yeah, maybe. But, again, it'll be a whole new audience. I wonder what the new modern audience is going to want then.
Yeah, this was such a misfire on so many levels. Number one, you use Jared Leto. The guy won an Oscar, a million years ago, and it created this mystique around him that, he made the jump from music to acting, and he's this actor's actor. Everything he has done since the David Ayer Squad movie for DC has just tanked, has just bottomed out. Nobody, even in movies that are typically like some people like House of Gucci, the reviewer was like, well, I liked the movie, but Jared Leto was terrible in it. I wonder what his method acting was for this. Did he take a power cord and shove it up his keister? He's the weirdest guy on the planet. Reports of it during the Squad, he was sending dead pigs and condoms to his co-stars.
Used condoms. No less.
Used condoms to Margot Robbie. And then, what was it in Morbius? He was actually pretending that he was disabled on the set, and they had to help. The people had to literally help him onto the toilet.
Yeah.
During production.
Did anybody point out?
Sorry, Tom.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, did anybody? No, you probably already pointed it out because my internet's being whatever. But of course, it's kind of when you got James Gunn calling you out for diddling younger girls, that says something too. I don't know if you brought that up yet.
Oh no, I had not.
That was the proclivity that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and then you've also got the fact that it's a franchise that not a lot of people really know or have a huge affinity for. And now I'm going to say this, and I'm saying this from a business perspective. I don't actually want them to do this. I would hate if they did this, but it would make more business sense. They should have just rebooted Tron, like just done a reboot of the entire franchise instead of this soft reboot that's still like banking on 30 years of nostalgia, because the nostalgia didn't work. They just ticked off all the original fans.
Yeah,
it's like the last one was. I'm sorry, the last one was your proto Legacy reboot, right? Legacy was sort of before the rest of all these movies that came along, and everybody else has just sort of been copying Disney ever since with their proto Legacy reboots.
But that's kind of like the irony that the Tron Legacy, that was a movie that you could walk into without having seen the original Tron, and you'd be pretty fine. Like, you'd get it without having seen the original. Whereas this movie, Tron Ares, that was billed as a soft reboot. If you haven't seen the original Tron, you're going to be completely lost through the first 95% of the movie. And if you haven't seen Tron Legacy, you're going to be lost in the last 5% of the movie. For a soft reboot, it's 100% dependent on the audience having seen what came before. Because if you haven't, you're freaking lost. So not much of a soft reboot right there. If there's anything that is incorrectly built, it is Tron Ares as a soft reboot. It's not a soft reboot. It's a sequel. Only it's a sequel that got like the really cheap treatment, because it got the Masters of the Universe treatment where everything takes place in our planet, which is stupid because the whole appeal was going into Tron World, and they did that for it to be cheaper. And the movie still cost $200 million. So yeah, way to make everything wrong. And also on the topic of Jared Leto, ignore all the other kind of stuff that's associated with it.
Well,
most audiences don't know that. What they do know, they see that guy's face and they're not intrigued, because he's not the leading man material. And the moment you make him the leading man, you create box office poison.
I mean, is he a household name?
Oh,
No, and then those that do know his name, it's because they say, I hate Jared Leto. The two things that I thought with this movie was, one, I mean, and I've been saying this since the first trailer came in, because I knew this was going to happen. You made a Tron movie without Tron. The world isn't called Tron. The game isn't called Tron. It's called Tron because the main character's name is Tron. It's like making a Batman movie without Batman, or a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man, which Jared Leto also did with Morbius. But then you've also got two of your main characters. You've got Jared Leto and the black space lesbian witch from The Acolyte in a Who's More Unlikable off.
Well, if I can pop in here, Tron is actually a security code that was then anthropomorphized into Bruce Boxleitner. Just want to be clear about that. Tron is a security code to prevent the master command of really taking over this world. One of the challenges, and I didn't discuss this in my review, and I was thinking about it later, is that, notwithstanding Chris's opinion of the original Tron, and fundamentally I agree. Like, I think that's true. But all that in-game stuff at the time had to be pre-rendered. And that's kind of what made it amazing, because we'd never seen at the time any kind of in-game game that looked like Tron the movie. Now, when you can play something like Helldivers 2, which literally gives you a real-time cinematic experience with enemies, explosions, the Tron Ares didn't match the experience that we have now as gamers. So in essence, the Tron franchise died when real gaming caught up and surpassed what Tron originally, the Tron the movie, was capable of doing. There really is no point for Tron, because we're playing games better than this movie.
I agree. I think the whole concept is out
Oh,
of date. The
yeah, it's out of
concept worked in the. It's a concept from
Yep.
the 80s.
That's
The whole
correct.
concept go into the computer world. This is a concept that kind of relies on computers being something weird and strange and
Correct.
unacceptable to the populace at large.
Right.
That was okay in 1982. The final time when you really could do an organic Tron movie, I think, was maybe in the 90s when you got into like virtual reality.
Yeah.
So I feel that we missed a Tron
We missed
game
it.
in
So it's-
1992. That was a big miss. That's something we should have had. That could have been amazing.
But-
And the only reason
Sorry.
Tron Legacy was as successful as it was, and I submit it was more successful than it had any right to be, was because it was a completely and total immersive experience that had to be experienced in a theater. So Chris, I'm sorry that you didn't have that experience, but I was mind blown seeing Tron Legacy in theaters. But that was because of the overall audiovisual experience of being taken into a different world. Like, to me, it was the same experience as seeing Avatar in 3D for the first time, only better. But that was me. That's my. But I think
No,
that's
I'm
why
with you.
it was so successful.
Yeah, I'm
That's
with
the
you.
whole
I
reason.
like Legacy. I like Legacy better than Tron, actually.
Yeah,
And,
so
and
do I.
honestly, I like the black hole better than Tron. But
So
I'm
do
a
I.
weirdo. Okay.
I really wish that the director Kaczynski, he really wanted to do a black hole remake for Disney, and that didn't happen. But that's a shame because I think that actually could have been amazing. But that's
And I
neither
just want to
here
say it's
nor
okay
there.
that Chris and Andre are wrong sometimes. Because
Yeah.
I have
obviously,
more than one
but
wrong
let's move
opinion.
on as
I mean,
a
I love
panel.
your show, Polly,
Let's
but not
move on
everybody
as a
agrees
people.
with me.
And unite.
Yeah.
Under
The big
unite.
Let's,
difference I think
uh,
between seeing Tron Legacy in theaters and seeing Avatar in the theaters is you remembered the names of the characters in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Now,
like
before we
Avatar either.
before we move further down the box office, I just want to address these super chats that have to do with Tron specifically. William Thompson says for $5, I was one who loved the original Tron and Tron Legacy, but the animated series was off the chain. But this one, no, Disney can kiss my assets. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
And
Raleigh.
the mum says for $1.99, Addis failure is because of COVID, not because of whoa. LOL. Yeah, we covered this. Well, to be fair though, this didn't come directly from Disney, although probably there was some communication there. But as we said in our post-mortem, Deadline Hollywood were quick to blame COVID for Tron Ares failing. And not just Tron Ares, also Roofman, because that's the other movie that kind of like failed this weekend. From Paramount Pictures, Roofman opened to $8 million. So,
Right.
if anything, it drowned in the wake of Tron Ares. Paul,
It's almost
tell us
half
about
its
Roofman.
budget, though. That's
It's
almost
diff-
half its budget.
It definitely is, you know, and it has 2 stars, but it's an independent film in regards to like the budget, 19 million. That's what you want to see, and that's what you should be marketing and promoting and pushing, because the actors can only do so much as far as marketing and stuff. But yeah, that just goes to show you that just people are sick of Hollywood and going to movies. You know, it's how many betrayals, one betrayal after another. I'm probably going to check out Roofman and Kiss of the Spider Woman, but that's just for the channel. You know, just regular movie going people. No, I'll wait for streaming. I'll wait. That is the mantra now. Y'all did it to yourself.
Yeah.
That's
We
it.
were again. I think that's so unbelievable that Hollywood were the architects of their own destruction, and that destruction was streaming, and it was so utterly predictable. I mean, we spoke about, if not exactly this happening, but some variation of this happening 6 years ago. So how could the big, heavily people in Hollywood with really fat paychecks, why are they rushing into the streaming lunacy, which only killed off multiple revenue streams and replaced them with practically nothing, because that's what streaming gives them compared to what was lost. It's
But we
unbelievable.
talked about that. The lure of recurring revenue, where you are not tied to the performance of any specific product, is immeasurable. Can you imagine running a business where, let's say, as an example, you do not produce one new thing in a month, yet revenue is still coming in?
Yeah, I understand that. What I don't understand, because it was completely obvious to us on the outside,
Sure.
but you already have that with Netflix. And Netflix that works when you have like one standard. You can maybe get away with HBO as like a niche thing. What you can't get away with is every single studio doing the same thing, thinking they can all be Netflix.
Well,
It was entirely predictable. It was only going to bring back piracy.
The other recurring revenue was,
how did they not see that?
Physical media was the proper recurring revenue source.
And they kill that in the name of streaming. Yeah.
Well, and also it's kind of ironic they're blaming it on COVID, because it kind of is because of COVID, right? Because the studios leaned into the streaming model during COVID. Yeah. And so now what Disney fan is going to go see Tron Ares when in 4 weeks they can watch it at home? Right.
And yet there was dozens and dozens of productions that got the release, that they could still film, that they could still produce. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marvin, during COVID. And a lot of those shows were massively successful, Chris.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that they trained the audience to
yes. I get what Chris is saying. But for them to use the excuse
at the same time here, which is like complete mental masturbation Hollywood style. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. This excuse doesn't hold the
correct.
It isn't the win they think it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've also we've proven that people will go to the theater to see something that they actually want to see. Spider-Man: No Way Home, Top Gun: Maverick, Lilo and Stitch, Moana 2, Minecraft movie. People will go when there's something that they want to see. So this COVID argument doesn't hold water with me anymore. It's not. I can't sit here and just blame the audience for a change in habits when it's very clear that it's a quality issue. It's just Hollywood is not producing things that people want to see.
And even in the top 10 still, guys, I mean, Demon Slayer and Conjuring are massive hits.
Yeah,
massive hits here and globally.
Demon Slayer outdrew Superman. Like the biggest superhero movie of the year was outdrawn by an anime.
Yeah. Well, the anime events are sort of their own little niche. Honestly, we know that. But you're right. I mean, nobody's clamoring to go see Roofman, right? And you would.
I want to see Roofman.
Well, now everybody wants to see it. But I think that again, it kind of goes back to them leaning into streaming, right? If you've got HBO Max and Disney Plus and Paramount and all the things, it really takes an event movie for you to want to go to the cinema, right? So it's almost become niche, because streaming has become so ubiquitous, and they're not leaning into making big, epic, must-see in the theater events.
Well, you also have pricing issues.
There's that too,
outprice themselves.
I mean, if you're already paying something like $100 a month for your streaming subscriptions, right? You might not spend, $30, $40, $50 to go to the theater, because whoever's handling the budget at your house might say, dang, why don't we just wait till next month when it's on at home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even just going out 2 people to the movie theater is gonna run you up high if you're gonna get snacks. Which, every time we go to the theater, I always do try to buy something at the snack bar, because I know that's where the theaters make most of their money from, and I want to support movie theaters. But yeah, I mean, the price of a movie theater admission and the price of snacks, just all the costs that go along with it, has turned it into something that is a little inconvenient for people financially.
Well, the problem with the cost of going to a film, and this is what I say, is it's still one of the cheapest thing anybody can do, whether it's on a date or a family thing or what have you. Because even going to see a baseball game or a concert or anything like that is astronomical in comparison. So going to the movies is still a thing that, low-income families can actually afford to do once in a while. But like you guys just said, they're not going to just go out for anything, right? They're going to go out for Lilo and Stitch, stuff like that. They're not going to go out to Tron. What family is going to go see Tron? And I mean, really, the budget, it wasn't horrible, because it's the same budget exactly they had for Tron Legacy 15 years ago. I mean, you guys have hit all the nails on the head here, but the one that bothers me the most is like I'm with Marvin. This COVID excuse, no matter what excuse you're using it for, one way or the other, is bullshit. We are so far away from COVID now that you cannot use it as an excuse anymore. It is not an excuse. You guys need to start innovating and getting butts back in seats and stop blaming COVID in the audience for your inability to make something worth getting people in the theater for. I've been saying this time and time and time.
100%. 100%.
The problem is they need to innovate and give us a reason. Why do you think IMAX is so popular? Because it's one of the few things you can do in a theater that isn't something you can do at home, only better. Right? Even streaming is shitty. Like, I am sick and tired of streaming half the time when I'm like, I got a Blu-ray version of it that looks better than the 4K streaming version. See, that's a problem. And then you got the other problem where people are just like, they act like they don't know how to fucking deal with the physical media anymore. It's because you've been trained, and it has nothing to do with COVID. This all started way before COVID. People have been trained to not fucking buy Blu-rays and DVDs anymore. They've been taught to rely on streaming. Now, here I am in a situation where if I wanted to watch something streaming right now, I'm fucked. Because I'm sitting here on my phone mobile. Okay, sure, I could use my phone data to watch a movie, but there goes all my data for the month if I have a plan. I'm lucky I have unlimited data, but after I hit a certain threshold, they start bandwidth, like limiting my bandwidth like a motherfucker.
Yeah, they throttle you.
Yeah, they throttle me like crazy. So like that's the thing I'm saying here. We're stuck in a world where they have done this to us, yet they blame us for not fucking, going to see their goddamn movies. I said this last night. The problem with Tron, and I've said this to Andre before too, is the 15 years between Tron Legacy and now is even worse in the public's eye than the original 30 years it was between Tron 1 and Tron Legacy. Because the beauty of at least Tron and Tron Legacy was you had them still keeping the franchise alive in between there. And you also had a re-release of the Tron movie in theaters and DVD for the anniversary that helped bolster Tron Legacy, even though it was a few years down the road. It was still something that our generation was still talking about. It was a movie that had legs. The time to make this movie was 3 to 5 years after Tron Legacy, not now. Nobody gives a fuck now. And then what did you do? You made the worst iteration you could have made. I agree with whoever brought it up in the first place. You should have remade it at this point if you're going to do this shit. Nobody cares about Jared fucking Leto. He couldn't open a goddamn, door if it didn't have any knobs on it and no latches because he's fucking ridiculous. He's not an actor who can open a movie. Nobody cares about Jared Leto except for Jared Leto. Have you not noticed that? He has been given every franchise in the world, and he still can't fucking make a movie.
Tom's right on the money, because then you add freaking Greta Lee. You're talking about the most unlikable, weirdo, creepo, just, terrible lead actors in this film, man.
And Jodie Turner-Smith on top of that. Yes.
Yeah, but her to a lesser degree, because Greta was, past lives, all this indie love for her. Yeah, Acolyte.
Sorry, I lost it there a little bit.
We're all screwed on this.
Hot on the heels of the Acolyte.
Yes. We're all screwed on this. We're all screwed on this, and Tom's absolutely right to be.
It was every wrong decision that could be made for this movie was my point. It was like nothing was right. Even the Nine Inch Nails business, because I remember Daft Punk was originally going to be a part of this back in 2020 when it was still on the table.
Should have been ill.
Yeah, what's really sad about this is it's not necessarily another one of those franchises where the woke Marxists or whatever have sort of taken it over and we've ceded that ground or whatever. It was just a terrible decision all around. It's not that it was woke or anything like that. It's just bad decisions were made, and it sounds like it's really become very on brand for Disney.
I haven't seen the movie. I've only heard Andre's review and seen a few other people talk about it. I have heard a few people who actually enjoyed it, which is fine. I mean, the story that Andre said was like, okay, but is that really justifying a Tron movie? This could have been like an animated special on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Or series.
That would have been better.
Now, Paul, Paul, you liked it, or no, you didn't like it?
Me?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No. The other thing that you have to understand with these projects is sometimes they're in gestation for so long that it's like having a big shit that suddenly you just can't stop. You go, oh, damn, I can't get off the toilet. Of course, this is from a 71-year-old's perspective. And yeah, so this movie probably, in its planning stages, maybe they wanted it to come out 5 years ago, let's say. But once they get the momentum is behind it, and then money is stuck in it, then they're kind of stuck in to finish it off and show it, even though it's way late to the public. That happens to lots of movies.
Well, and the biggest problem is it's not a sequel to Tron. It's not a sequel to Tron Legacy.
All of those things are true, but who knows if this thing showed up 5 years ago, it might have been marginally more successful. And I'm not saying better.
Yeah. And that's my point, is I think the time window for this is long gone, unfortunately.
No, that's the point I'm making too, just with regards to the fact that video games are better than this movie.
Oh, I think if you would have done pushed the PS5 to its limits with a Tron video game right now that blew kids' minds, that would have been infinitely more successful than a movie. Had you built an online Tron world and done all that and put 200 million or more into that, I think you'd have been better off.
And you could have actually had Bruce Boxleitner in that.
Yeah, and honestly, that would be the way to do a Tron movie. Have that be a spin-off to a Tron game. Do like a whole Tron universe. That's really the only way to do it at this point in time. I agree, that's a problem with Tron here, that every single decision they made was the wrong one. Every single decision. They didn't choose one thing right.
Exactly. That was what I was saying. Is none of this is right. You would have been better off because I guess they tried to get what's his face. I forget his name. Who played Flynn's kid in the last one?
Sam. Oh, they played Sam. Oh,
yeah.
right.
Sam is
Garrett Hudlin. And
they tried getting him
Olivia
back.
Wilde.
I guess
None of them wanted.
They didn't want to do it. So at that point, you just cast somebody else in the role. I don't understand why Jared Leto's even here.
Because he wanted to be. Apparently, he had a pay-or-play deal, and he was one of the key reasons why the movie got off the ground in the first place.
That's what I keep hearing. Yeah, that
wasn't he initially supposed to be the villain though? Wasn't that the whole thing? Because that's what I'm saying. We knew about these scripts years ago. That's what we've been talking about for years. Because they had the two different scripts, and wasn't he? Because he's been attached to it since back in 2020, 2019, anyway. Because this was initially announced in 2018 for my research the other day, I think. And I think Jared's been a part of it for a while, but wasn't he, I think, initially supposed to be the villain or something like that? Because it was supposed to be initially a follow-up to Legacy, I thought, if my memory served me correctly.
Well, I'm sure, but that's the movie we always got. And when you look at it from a certain perspective, he is the villain here. He's the villain that grows conscious and wants to be conscious and be free. Because he's a villain, he does evil things because he's serving the Dillinger Corporation. He's an agent of them, and he doesn't want to be anymore. So that's this script on. Character kind of starts out the villain.
Now, this script sounds like it was written in 2018.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I just saw Bill S. Preston Esquire in the chat had just brought up Bruce Boxleitner is openly conservative and Republican. Do you think that had something to do with them not even giving him a cameo in this movie?
Oh, for sure. Remember,
I love him, by the way. Captain John Sheridan from Babylon 5 will always have
that's fantastic.
I mean, this movie, it came out now, but this would have been developed when Disney were in their wokest period at every single level. And you can tell from the decision making, let's make this one for the women. Let's do all these things to get in the female audience. And what do you know? The female audience were the ones that let this movie down more than any other group. Oh, other than young people, because 70% of the audience were over 25 or something ridiculous. I don't remember the details exactly.
No, and I agree that the reason he was left out was because of that. Because otherwise, this is how they do things. It's if there was just a reason not to have somebody in it, they'd dance around it and they'd work around it. No, in this case, this is how they do it. They make sure the character's not even mentioned or there usually. And that's what sticks out to me is how can you have a Tron movie without Tron? And that tells you why. doesn't tell you how, it just tells you why they decided to make that decision. Because to them, to have him in the movie or even a version of him is too, you know what I mean? It's pandering.
Triggering.
It's triggering. Yeah, thank you for the word. Yeah.
And Bruce confirmed at a convention that they never even called. There was never even like a touch call or like a check-in or anything. Like not even like him just sitting there in the boardroom in one of the scenes, because he gets put back on the board at the end of Tron Legacy. Like nothing.
Well, he's part of the big twist at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the big twist at the end of this movie where what is it? Quicksilver gets turned into Sark at the end.
Oh no, I was talking about Legacy, where that's I mean, Tron is kind of like in the background until the end or whatever, where he basically,
Spoiler. Thanks, Marvin. Spoiler.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what kind of drop this movie is going to have,
dude.
In second
It's
weekend,
going to be brutal.
Speaking of brutal drops,
not that bad, just because I was just going to say it might not be that bad.
Yeah.
It might not be that bad just because it didn't have that good of an opening, right? Like, so there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I thought about the Smashing Machine. I was like, oh, the Smashing Machine will probably drop like 30-40% because nobody saw it in the first place. But I underestimated The Rock.
Well, with stuff like this, it's about word of mouth. So
yeah,
if the word of mouth was mixed on Smash Machine, the word of mouth of this, what do you think the word of mouth of this is going to be, right?
Mixed.
Brutal.
Yeah.
It's not going to be mixed, it's going to be brutal. Because, fine. You might have the odd person that likes it, but I submit that for every one person that liked it, at least 9 are going to dislike it. That means you're not going to have mixed word of mouth, you're going to have negative word of mouth. Hollywood is going to call it mixed, but in reality, it's going to be negative. And that really is the case. Like whenever a trades refer to something getting a mixed reception, 9 times out of 10, it's actually a negative reaction. They just don't want to admit that one of their darling projects that they championed is being rejected by the audience. So they say it's a mixed reaction. It's a little bit like more politically correct to say it's a mixed reaction. Some people liked it, although no one in the actual audience they needed to like it actually likes it, because that would be admitting their own bias and how they could have gotten it so wrong and how out of touch they are with the audience they are supposed to serve.
Yeah, it's like those B cinema scores, right? It should be an A if the movie was awesome, because you're surveying people who went on opening night, right? So if you went on opening night, you were excited for this movie. And if you don't give it an A, you're just kind of being nice. You're sort of being charitable, like, well, we already spent our money and we went, so I don't want to give it an F because then I look like a clown. So that's why generally a B cinema score is bad news and is just considered by the industry as, quote, mixed, unquote.
Yeah, and this got a B minus. So,
yeah. So they gave it as much as they
walking
could.
Walking out, right?
Yeah.
As we pointed out before, there's very rare do you get a movie that hits the C's in the cinema.
Oh yeah, not on opening night.
And for a movie to hit a B minus is really bad.
Yeah, this is going to have a big drop. I think it is interesting what Marvin points out about the smashing. I'm sure The Rock is sort of like glad to not be the topic of discussion this weekend or after this last weekend. But man, that is brutal.
Well, let me tell you something. As somebody who did a whole video about Smashing Machine last week, nobody cares about The Rock and Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
He couldn't draw
shame.
ratings for this movie, and he couldn't draw ratings for me either.
I didn't see your video. It's a real shame, but I'm going to check it out because I'm a huge Mark Kerr fan. And his story, and that's who the story is about.
Yeah, well, and that's part of the problem I've heard, Paulie, is that the movie itself is just not very good, right?
Yeah, like it's not very good, but right.
Yeah.
So
it's not about it's not the person himself. It's just a bad representation of the person themselves.
Yeah. So go check out the doc, I guess, right? Because his doc has been around for 20 years.
Yeah, the doc that created the movie. But anyway, just to jump down to that, and the Smashing. In its second weekend fell by 69%. And I just have to disagree with what someone said earlier. That's a really brutal drop. And considering the low budget, you would actually expect this movie to have like a 50% or less drop, but still it is dropping nearly 70%. And that's from a really low starting point. So that's
Yeah, exactly.
unbelievably, shockingly bad.
And this is a fairly expensive movie, right?
50 million, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's 50 million that A24 is not seeing again. Now, I do appreciate their model and that they are taking risks. But in this case, they spent 50 million on the biopic starring The Rock. I mean, on paper, that should be a fairly safe investment. You can't really say fault them for anything that they did on the decision stage. I haven't seen the movie, but from what I understand, the director maybe screwed it up. They did some weird creative choices, but on paper, there really isn't anything you can say boy, they really screwed up on this one. Not something that you could say in advance.
I remember when I first heard Tom say The Rock is not a movie star and then explain it, the glass broke in my head because I realized that Tom was 100% accurate, and this proves it.
Yeah,
he's not the movie star. He's never been.
And because even a little film like this should do something, right? Like if he was such a movie star, because that's
terrible title.
Stallone. If it was Stallone, it would have made money.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to do the Mickey Rourke thing, but it makes me wonder, not to shift gears, because the story about the Michael Jackson biopic came out right after this movie dropped, didn't it? So that makes me wonder if they didn't panic over that too, because did you guys hear about that, where they all of a sudden decided they're not going to, well, there's another reason for that, but they're not going to do the 2-part Michael Jackson movie unless the first part works out now. Like they chopped a bunch of the movie out and they're cutting it down to one movie. But I heard part of it has to do with Sony Music didn't fucking bother telling Lionsgate that this one person couldn't be used in the film because of the deal that was made, because of the allegations in the settlement agreement that was made. So that's part of it possibly, but this other thing was all of a sudden now they're cutting it down to one movie. Is I wonder if it wasn't a reaction too because of how this biopic turned out, but I doubt they're related.
I mean,
let's just say it's got some mixed reviews. Joe Rogan loved it. He had Mark Kerr on there. They should have been clipping that, the movie company. I think A24 did a horrible job just in getting that UFC MMA base to see it. 11 million global. This should have made at least 30-40 million. Cover, like you said, cover the bets just from that audience alone, even if it is a mid to bad movie. Gina Carano still hadn't seen it, and I'm like, why hasn't Gina seen it yet? If she's tweeting this is a great story, I intend to see it. What? Who didn't do their job? Fire them, because Gina, GSP, Randy Couture, all these people should have seen this movie a month ago and been tweeting about it. I talked about this.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Not only should they have seen it, they should have been paid influencers to talk it up to their audience. I mean, this is we sometimes talk shit about digital marketing, but this is something that really lent itself to digital marketing. And they screwed the pooch on this one.
They really did.
There you have the best free advertising you possibly can get, because Joe Rogan was going to talk about it anyway and how excited he was for it. I mean, that should have been their golden marketing opportunity right there. And instead, it's going to be a conversation of, boy, that didn't work out. Why didn't anyone see it?
I have an idea.
Marvin?
I bet you this movie would have been a massive hit if Joe Rogan starred in it.
Probably.
Do you think that because of all the people that we mentioned, maybe A24 and the Hollywood PR team that they hired, maybe they're like, oh, we want to stay away from all that because they're too affiliated with Trump?
Maybe. And that would be to their own detriment, because that wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if there actually were some conversations like that. And they figured, nah, if we do that, we're not going to be able to go to the cocktail parties in the industry anymore, because again, you would be going straight against the echo chamber that has formed and solidified within Hollywood. But that echo chamber is why you have a box office like this. That is why everything is failing. It's because the people inside of Hollywood are in a freaking cult and they don't even know it.
You
and they
think,
are making these cultish things that no one outside of Hollywood wants.
but in
So
this
that's why
case, it's
entertainment's
not a
going to hell.
cultish thing, but it's a cultish. Oh, we're just gonna go for awards with Dwayne Johnson, with Emily Blunt. Let's just make it a, like, oh God, an incredible,
Maybe, but the problem is when you
story.
do
When
that,
it's
and then the big things which are
Mhm.
supposed to draw in the audience, they're too concerned with, oh, we have to signal our virtue here so people will appreciate us. When really what they're doing is that they're being repellent to 90% of the audience on the face of the earth. This is what is like so incredible to me when you have like
Mhm.
these actors doing some kind of virtue signaling because they get high fives within their circle. They don't understand what kind of an absolute clown they are in the eyes of the entire rest of the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I could keep going on. I just know we have to move on.
We do have to move on. Anything else that stands out in this weekend's box office?
Yeah, nothing that I can see that really is shocking. Looks like The Bad Guys 2 is still kicking.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only other big news was that they pulled that Taylor Swift movie from most of its international distribution thing. But I think, do you guys know why, or was it just because it wasn't an actual concert film? Really, it was more of a listening party or some
Yeah,
shit.
I think it was just meant to be a short-term thing for the release of her album.
Right, which dropped this weekend and was,
And it did really well.
I mean, it's
Kick-
like
Kick the
billions.
Rock butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
but I guess
Taylor Swift should have starred in the Smashing Machine.
But I guess that, like, I mean, even though it did okay for us here in the U.S., I guess they pulled it from a bunch of international distribution for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm shocked the Fantastic Four is still in theaters.
$61,000 this weekend.
Less than 100 theaters, though. Okay, so
Yeah.
Don't be a hater.
I can't find it.
it's
Oh,
right
there it is.
It's right there, dog. Still trucking.
I got my Fandango email just a few minutes ago for pre-sales for Badlands. I'm curious to see how that does.
I'm very glad you brought that up because just to get back, on track here, because you're of course referring to Predator Badlands and the big movies that Disney still have coming out now for the next of the years. The ones that they really need to work out is one, Predator Badlands, which is inherently niche anyway. And then there's Avatar. Avatar really has to knock it out of the park now, especially to make up for Tron Legacy. And they really, really need Predator Badlands to work out for them now, especially after Alien Earth. Now that we have like some more streaming data with how it performed, not great. And chances of a second sequel, depend by any normal metric at least, would also be not great. So you can chalk that up to flop territory as well, probably. And this then brings us to Predator Badlands. What's the hype and excitement for that? Paulie, have you heard anything from your friends in Hollywood? Is there any excitement for Predator Badlands? Is this something that they think, yeah, this is the one that's going to turn people around?
No, it's Avatar.
It's Avatar. So basically, they've written off Predator Badlands already.
Yeah, and and then all the serious movies for the Oscar season. It's that time.
I'm really
wondering,
Shado,
that we must make more movies for ourselves, and we don't care what anyone else thinks. But we're going to watch movies.
Yeah.
Blow hot
speaking
air
of Chato, he needs to have some time for himself now, or rather for his family that should be waking up now.
They're all up now.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for joining us today. It was a pleasure that you could take time, and we are for this Canadian celebration, for this celebration of when the Canadians killed off the Indigenous people. We are grateful for your continued presence here.
Very thankful.
As good a job as you Americans.
We really wiped them out, didn't we? Wow.
Yeah, that was quite something. So.
No, you didn't.
That was the joke. Paul, good to have you here, buddy.
That's nice to be here.
Good job.
And we'll see you later on in the
week. Hey, go Mariners.
Yeah. We'll see whether we even make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. Before you go, Mr.
Oh, yes.
Chato, Doll Life Dan said for $5, Paul and Paulie, you have your Blue Jays versus Dodgers, but you're both going to lose because the pennant is coming to
Oh
Milwaukee.
boy.
I have no idea what that means, but I trust that you do.
Brewers
Yeah.
fans,
Brew
right?
Crew.
It's down to the final four, Andre. So there's the Dodgers in Milwaukee and Chato's team in Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's their new
Also,
slogan, Jada's
before
team.
you go, Chato, since you are celebrating, Mexican Idol Man says, "Happy Indigenous People Conquering Day. Thank you, white dude that banged my ancestor grandma, so I could now live on an island with air conditioned indoor toilets, warm showers, and golf course and boat docks. No pee and life
Mikey.
for me."
That's right. I
Mike.
feel bad for your suffering.
Yes.
I mean, I basically can agree with this sentiment. You know, Columbus was like the great grandfather that draped my great granny. I hate the dude, but I love him at the same time.
But Columbus never did land on North
Yeah.
America.
That's true.
Yes, I know, but
Well, he still he
No, it
gets
sounds
the
like he-
stolen valor.
No, it sounds like he landed on Paulie's grandmother. Oh,
Oh,
Wasn't it Amerigo Vespucci who actually
Yes,
hit?
that's who America is named after. But still, like Columbus, he gets a lot of stolen valor, basically, because although he stumbled and he screwed up everything, he kind of like was the first of the conquistadores to get there, or the one who
Yeah.
set the way for the conquistadores.
He was
a-
Norwegians
he
were
was
the
a
first.
bonus-
but we didn't
bonus
stay.
point. They found he had Jewish DNA.
Paul. There we go. We need to pitch
Right.
a Christopher Columbus movie in the vein of like a Mel Brooks film, where it's telling about him
Oi.
being nothing but a drunken idiot. Yet he
it's-
stumbles upon. Yeah.
It's called Oi America.
Starring
back-
Idris
bring it
Elba.
back.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do I have to do
Yeah.
do I have to do the Tony Soprano rant? Is that as the Italian here? Do I have to do the Tony Soprano rant? Is this
Yes, you do.
the Inquisition. Here we go. The Inquisition.
And the funny thing is that
What a
that actually
show.
would be closer to reality, because the fact of the matter is that Christopher Columbus, you have like this myth that he wanted to prove that the earth was round, and it was complete and total bullshit fabricated.
Yeah,
That
of course.
never happened. They knew
There's
the
lots of
earth
myths.
was round.
But-
The debate was about the size of the earth, and here's the kicker: he was wrong. He just freaking lucked out that there happened to be a continent there.
I'm just waiting for the Muslims to reconquer Spain, because that.
Oh,
looks
be
like-
careful what you wish for, because there's yeah.
they're just minutes away.
Ah.
I mean,
Uh,
look,
Yeah,
Can I just-
you'd be
can I-
surprised at how many want to take back Al Andalus. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
he gave
carry
he gave us one of my people's greatest musical achievements. The "Please, Mr. Columbus, turn the ship around. Why you tell Isabella that the world is round."
That's awesome.
Classic.
That's awesome.
Okay, here I'll do it for you guys just because I have to for my people. He discovered America is what he did. He was a brave Italian explorer, and in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story. There you go.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
Tony. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Spoken from the words of a was that homicidal?
Exactly. Sociopath.
Gangster.
And yet I love Tony Soprano. That's Christopher
So was the
Columbus.
Godfather, though. I mean, come on.
That's what we love and hate him. But
It's
I
an
will say,
ice cold
Mikey,
movie about people you love.
Yeah,
So you guys get to have your own Thanksgiving. It's coming up.
coming up.
It's actually this.
We gotta
was
wait 5 or
Christmas
6
in a
weeks.
weird way.
Yeah.
I think we could
Anyway,
celebrate it all. you
Thanks,
know?
everyone.
Anyway.
We'll see you later. Bye. Love you all.
Adios.
Later, Chato.
Take care, Donny. Yeah, and we have a couple of more super chats before we move on here. Jose Picasso became a new member, and we welcome you. And then Goa sent us $100 Mexican saying the Demon Slayer movie is a season recap like Dragon Ball movies, but backwards. It is just normie grab and it works. If you want a truly cinematic experience, try Redline, the 2007 movie from Madhouse.
I don't know.
So
Go.
basically, it's Secret of the Sword, in other words.
Demon
Sounds like
Slayer.
it.
The characters are just. I see. That's the big difference, right? I love these characters out of anime. these demon slayers, you just the main characters alone, you're just so I'm so hooked by them. And I'm talking about the TV show, right? And I can't wait to. I'm trying to get through all the seasons, guys, because I want to go watch the film, and there's other films as well. But you know, Tanjiro and his sister, and you got all these just amazing characters that Hollywood has forgotten how to do. Who the fuck cares about those Tron characters? Sorry, I cursed.
What do we have coming out? We got the Frankenstein movie, Running Man, Zootopia
Avatar.
2, Avatar, yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is going to print money.
Luis Cuyo, thank you.
Compared to everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
With the Avatar thing, I'm wondering is the first one obviously did so amazingly, and then you waited 15 years to put out the next one, so there was almost a nostalgia factor there. I'm wondering with this one coming out so soon after Way of Water, made a lot of money, but once again made no cultural impact whatsoever, if this is going to do as much.
Do you?
I don't know.
Though, I mean, because we kind of made that argument about the Tron. Ares, right? Like they waited a long time after doing that first break. So I
get what.
Go ahead.
I get what Marvin's saying. I think the bigger problem with Avatar in this one, and I think we may see the drop off on this one that I predicted for the last one, and some others did. But I think the bigger issue is here is I think Marvin's right. For the second one, you had the nostalgia factor going into it. And not only that, look at the box office. It was like more than 2/3 of it were outside the U.S. That's why it didn't have a cultural impact, right? Because nobody went to see it in the United States. Like it practically bombed in the U.S. I mean, yes, it did okay, but
What?
majority of its money is outside the U.S. Go look at the box office in
It
comparison.
was a hit. I was the only one that said you said it was gonna be a flop a couple of years ago. I said you were wrong.
In my eyes, it still technically is as far as an American film. It's not an American film. It's a foreign film. Nobody in America went to see this fucking movie.
And Avatar is gonna crush the.
It probably will do okay, but the biggest problem this movie has is there's no innovation going off of what I was saying earlier. The first movie had the 3D.
That I don't
gimmick
argue.
for it.
That I don't argue.
There is nothing for the second film other than the frame rate shit that was big back with The Hobbit. But now what has he got for this third film? Is it going to burn you? I mean, I don't get it.
Right, but I will say, Tommy. That all being said, it's normie heaven.
Maybe, but how much does Disney really get from this either? Because, okay, first of all, being so lopsided foreign-wise, Lord knows what deals that Cameron had with foreign distribution. That's the other thing. Disney doesn't even unless they bought out HBO, they don't even get the streaming rights for fucking the sequels because they had that stupid deal that was made back with the original film that all the sequels go to HBO. Did you guys remember that? So that's the thing that to be Culture Casino for a moment, since he's not with us this morning here, he'd be the first to remind you that they don't make very much off these Avatar movies at the end of the day.
Yeah, but we're just talking about box office normie hits.
No, I get you. I get you.
What's opening up this fall? That's gonna
is it going to be that big though? That's my question too, Marvin. I'm with Marvin. Yeah,
we know that it's going to make money, and we know Lilo and Stitch made money. But then, are those two movies and their profits going to be enough to recoup Disney's losses for the year? I don't think so, because they have had some high profile bombs. I mean, Tron is just the latest. When you look at this year, had Snow White, this year had Captain America, it had the Thunderbolts, it had Fantastic Four, all of these movies that just bled money that cost $1 bajillion to make. Disney is going to have a huge loss this year, I think, on films.
I think you're right, but I also think that Tom is right in that because it's almost like a foreign global movie now.
Yeah,
it's just a different animal.
Well, I mean, we know with the first one that there were people literally self-deleting because they were so depressed that they couldn't that they couldn't go live in Pandora. And I'm like, why would anyone want to live there? Everything tries to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was what I was getting at. I think if you look at the box office, and I don't have access to the internet right now, sadly. Thanks, Frontier.
What do you want me to look up?
But I was going to say, you compare the first movie's box office to the second film. Yeah, they're similar, but once you actually look at the breakdown, the first film did, I think it's pretty good domestically, but the second film didn't do that great. I mean, it did okay, but not in comparison to the first movie is my point. And that's why I feel like it had zero cultural impact in the US, because outside of people here in my internet sphere, I have yet to talk to somebody in my walking life who has actually seen Avatar 2.
Never met a super fan of Avatar ever in my life.
Not just a super fan. I've never met anybody who actually sat down and watched the son of a bitch.
I got the numbers
when the
here.
characters came back,
People around the world did. Whether you met
I
them or
have the
not.
numbers.
Clearly have.
Here.
Like Andre, on the other hand, could probably walk out the door and ask 5 people if they've seen Avatar 2, and they'd
Yes.
probably say yes.
Yes.
That's my point.
Interesting.
So, 2009 domestic gross 785. That's 2009, right? Prices, inflation.
Yeah, I was going to
all
say, I
that
knew it was
stuff.
somewhere in the 700 range. Yeah.
2022 Way of Water 688 million domestic.
Wow.
And
like
then
almost
What's
over.
domestic on that?
what's that?
I was still
That's
so
just domestic.
Oh,
I was
wow.
so pissed when Endgame beat Avatar and then Cameron re-released it again
Yep.
to knock Endgame out of the number 1 spot.
Good times.
Yeah, it worked.
So they're doing it smart too. They're opening the weekend before Christmas,
Yes.
December
my God.
19th. So it should do well. But hey, man, it's up against the SpongeBob movie and what
It'll
is
do
that
fine.
biblical musical that Angel Studios has put? David, I think, and of course there's a Sydney Sweeney thriller coming out that weekend. I think Avatar will
Angel-
probably scoop it all up.
Of course it will. The Angel Studios film will probably be the surprise hit.
Yeah.
Zero AD.
No, it's David. I think it's about David. Yeah, King David.
Zero AD.
No, I don't.
I don't think that's the name of the movie.
Yeah. It's
Coming out on
by,
December 19th.
it's by the same Sound of Freedom director, Angel Studios. Zero AD. Been waiting all year for it. That one I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
It is. It does. It's hold on. Sorry.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're going to do a couple of super chats here. Hypergiver said for $2, The Rock only made one good movie, The Scorpion King. Well, that was interesting. I would say it was a
It's debatable.
waste of opportunity, and some of the direct-to-video sequels are better, but yeah, I can't fault you for that. William Thompson became a new member, and Jeremiah Hambry says, Tom, I sent you a bunch of stuff from New York Comic Con, and tell Andre he gets his Constantine too. Oh, is there?
Are they doing that?
Yeah.
What's
Thank
the
you,
what's the news
Jeremiah.
on that?
I don't think I've gotten the package yet, but I sent you a story the other day, Andre. I don't know if you must have read it or not. There has
Well,
been
I
some
get so
movement on
many
Constantine
stories.
too. I guess. Well, yeah, but this one I was surprised that you didn't touch it because it said Constantine right in the title. I guess Keanu put it said something about a revised script that's been turned in and is just waiting on James Gunn or something like that, something along those lines. I could be wrong, but that was my gist of what I read.
Interesting. Well, fingers crossed. That's a movie I actually want, even though Keanu Reeves' Constantine is nothing like the original comic book Constantine. I'll take it because that movie was so awesome in its own right, and we are not getting a comic book accurate Constantine for a long time to come anyway. So might as well just take an awesome movie and enjoy it. So
The news is that another draft of the script came in like a week or two ago, and Keanu was talking to Fandango and said, exactly what you just said. Fingers crossed.
All right.
Draft just came in of the script. We're going to take it to the studio. So things are happening. Unless something was announced at New York Comic Con that I haven't seen anywhere.
yeah, unless he has like some secret, unless he spilled something like, hey, don't say this, but James Gunn really liked it or something. Unless it's that, then yeah.
Have you
And-
seen
and
the
that-
rumors that James Gunn may get fired with this news?
I was about to say,
Yeah.
thanks for doing that, because that's our next topic here. Marvin has been doing a number of write-ups on a story that dropped in Cosmic Book News. Cosmic Book News, they had some titles which I personally feel goes into a little bit of the clickbaity category. We'll get to the
Andre,
details
you're
of
full of
that.
shit.
Why not?
David Ellison is going to save Hollywood. He's not only going to fire David Zaslav, he's going to fire James Gunn, Kurtzman, and Kathleen Kennedy. You watch.
Yeah,
gonna save
we
everything.
shall see. But Marvin, take us through it, since you have obviously read these original
sensed my
scoops
sarcasm.
from
Yeah.
Cosmic Book News well enough that you did your own write-ups about them. then take us through it. Meanwhile, okay, no, I'll do it. I was about to say Tom, but Tom is on mobile, so I'll get it up on screen myself.
Andre,
here.
real quick, guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bounce out.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Hey, Paulie.
Much love, everyone. Have a great Monday. Don't go anywhere, guys. Keep watching this great discussion, and God bless everybody. Peace.
Thanks, Paulie. Happy Columbus Day.
Yeah, you love you.
So yeah, but with that, Park Place, you did then a rumor of the write-up, a write-up from the rumor coming from Cosmic Book News,
Right.
that James Gunn should be fired from DC Studios if Paramount's sale goes through. And of course, the original write-up was basically Trump saving Hollywood again and a little bit more hyperbole, but we'll get into that. I think it was a little bit of the clickbait nature, but there is some interesting aspects behind it. So, Marvin, take us through this story. What's going on?
So Cosmic Book News put out this rumor here. I guess with all of the news about Paramount and Ellison making a play for WB, Matt McGloin over at Cosmic Book, he said he reached out to some of his contacts in Hollywood, and they said that if Ellison actually purchases Warner Brothers, that James Gunn's days are numbered. They'll get rid of him. I believe the rumor is that they were going to install Mike DeLuca to run DC, and he's currently in charge of Warner Brothers Film. So that's what they're saying. Like, they want a clean slate start because I just reported on this. I don't necessarily believe
but carry on the rest of the scoop. What's the rest of the scoop? And then
I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, it's just that they think that they're going to fire James Gunn. They're going to reboot DC again, and that DC would then be run by Mike DeLuca, who I guess would find somebody else. But Gunn and Safran, their contracts only run through 2026. So if they were going to get rid of them, they could at the end of 2026. But I honestly don't think they're going to. Yeah, but the one thing to keep in mind is Bloomberg reported just this week that Warner Brothers rebuffed Paramount's initial offer to buy the company. So that's another big thing to consider here. But even if the Paramount deal goes through, and even if this is true, it would be a period of probably it could be years, depending on regulatory approval, for any kind of sale to go through. So even if this rumor is true, it's not like James Gunn is clearing out his office. But I personally, I don't know. I think it takes a lot to get rid of somebody like James Gunn, and I don't know if we, if we have enough at this point to go on that.
Well, and Script Doctor was saying something about Warner Brothers being a Canadian company, though. I don't know if that still is the case after the AT&T and Discovery business, but I don't even know if that.
I didn't know they were a Canadian company. Everyone's been talking about regulatory stuff, so I would assume they're an American company now since Discovery purchased them.
Well, that was what I was talking about, but he brought this up the other night, and I'm like, I haven't had a chance to really dig into it any further than that. But I'm with you guys. Unless this is like a hostile takeover situation, I'm not so sure that this is going to happen. And I've been saying this to people for a while, and a lot of this stuff that's in the press feels like it's being fed to the press by Ellison's people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Well, also, I mean, if you believe the rumors about the Paramount sale, it's that basically one of the conditions here is that Zaslav is going to stay on as the CEO of Warner Brothers after the sale. Like, that's part of the conditions here, because he's not interested in being sunsetted whatsoever. So I can't imagine that Zaslav is going to be like, yeah, let's undo one of my decisions like immediately. Even I don't know. I don't, as much as I don't like James Gunn personally, as much as I have not enjoyed the things that he's been doing, I can't see this being 100% accurate. But then again, I don't know Matt McGloin's sources. He might have an ironclad source who's talking to him about this. I don't know.
Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what I know from our past reportings and everything else we've gone through, and what I know of this whole, situation, like, a contract comes with the sale. You can't just cancel a contract just because you bought something.
No, right? You have to buy it out.
Yeah, so in this case, and that's the thing we keep hearing about with Kurtzman, another thing with Ellison like that. And that's another reason why I don't buy that bullshit either, because people forget that he's half the reason Kurtzman's there. right? Like this is what I keep reminding people. I don't know why anybody thinks that David Ellison is going to be this super duper guy who's going to come in and save Hollywood unless you're David Ellison, because everybody keeps forgetting that he's part of the problem. And I've been bringing that up time and time again, and I can't bring it up enough because I think him buying Warner Brothers right now would be one of the worst fucking things that could happen. First of all, we don't need any studio conglomerating with another studio right now. That's the last thing look what happened to Fox. If anything, anytime anybody talks about this shit from now on, say, yeah, what happened to Fox? Because no longer is 20th Century Fox a studio anymore. It's barely a mini major underneath Disney at this point. All it does is basically produce.
It's a sub brand like Focus Features.
Yeah. Yeah, all it does is produce Alien and fucking Predator shit. That's it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. Basically, Disney bought Fox to shut it down. They didn't mean for that to happen, but that is what happened.
Right.
And on this whole thing, yeah, the Ellisons, they have enough money that if like Ellison Jr. goes and cries to dad and says, I want to be an even bigger mogul, give me Warner, I want to be a Disney level mogul. And dad is going to, okay, fine, here. Your pony wasn't good enough for Christmas, fine. You'll have another studio. Then yeah, I can see that happening.
Well,
what I don't see happening, and this is where I think that many people are a little bit too optimistic with this. Of course, that is not in this year write-up, but in the original write-up, it was like, yeah, basically Trump is going to save Hollywood by way of the Ellisons, and that I don't believe.
Yeah, that was editorializing, so I didn't include that in my write-up.
That's editorializing. That is someone being extremely hopeful. I have never met either Ellison Jr. or Sr. I do not know what they stand for. I do know that they did what they had to do to get the approval to go through with the Paramount merger. I don't know how much of that is like real. I don't know if they're based or not. I really don't know what they stand for. What I do know is that Skydance, they have funded a bunch of productions that have been incredibly bad and incredibly woke. Now, that doesn't mean that they themselves are woke. That only means that here's a bunch of productions that they can choose to fund and be part of, and they just read it, and then other people involved in those productions, they are the woke ones. They don't know. That could very well happen. But that means that some very lacking due diligence has been done on the part of Ellison Jr., who is the one that wants to be a movie mogul. Now, that is not something that I take great heart in, because I haven't seen anything from this guy to suggest that he's the guy to fix everything, other than that he's a guy whose daddy has a shit ton of money, more money than Elon Musk. That's all I've seen so far. Anything else is too optimistic, unless you know something that we don't, but there's nothing that he has done to conclusively prove that there is any reasons for optimism here. Also, this thing that James Gunn could be fired from DC Studios, that I also think is a bunch of editorializing, and it may not be editorializing from Cosmic Book News. It could be that their source is the one that's doing the editorializing. I mean, it could be that the source is someone who has like extreme TDS, who hates David Zaslav because they hate Trump, and for that reason they want to see Gunn fail as well. Never underestimate that effect. Gunn may be woke in some ways. I am not disputing that, but he is Team Zaslav, and that has put him on the outs of a whole bunch of people that want to see him fired, that want to see him fail. And that's not just the people sometimes referred to as Snyder Bros. There you have like ordinary people in Hollywood that wants to see him fail. I think this would just be my hunch, that is what's being reflected in this scoop, some level of wishful thinking. I do not believe that Ellison, although I don't know what he stands for, I don't believe that he would be so stupid as to just get rid of James Gunn for the hell of it, to have DeLuca run DC instead. DeLuca, he did run DC for a very limited time period, and that's when they were essentially going back to the Snyderverse with Black Adam and stuff like that. Because what's between the lines here is that if DeLuca is the one running DC, then based on his past behavior, that would mean a return of the Snyderverse,
God, no.
which tells me there's a hell of a lot of wishful thinking and editorializing at some point here behind this scoop. Now, I'm not accusing the author of the scoop of necessarily doing that editorializing. It could be the source, but at some point, there has been some level of editorializing in this report before it hit the press. And the end result of which, carry on.
I want to point out, I softened this a bit when I did my write-up saying like could be fired. If you read the Cosmic Book News article, he says James Gunn will be fired when David Ellison buys Warner Brothers. Like it was like
Matt McClowan, is Matt the writer?
Yeah, Matt's the writer.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
Chris,
that's
what do
the
you know
thing,
about
like,
Matt? Because your smirk right there suggests you know something, maybe some level of bias in the writer. What can you tell us about the writer of these?
Well, I like Matt. Matt, he has hot takes, like this, but he also has some contacts. So I wouldn't dismiss this out of hand. So I appreciate Marvin covering this.
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is why I'm saying I don't necessarily believe that it's the author that has added this to it, but I do believe that sometimes before he got the scoop, there has been an editorializing process, and we've seen this as well, where sometimes a source is going to be very excited, and they're going to say that, oh, this has to happen, and blah blah blah,
right.
and then we place a little bit more, and then it turns out, okay, what you're giving us right now isn't what happened. That's your interpretation of events and your read of the situation, and that read is a good read if you have all information, but you don't necessarily have all information. And that way, sometimes information gets distorted through the communication process. Now, I think that's what might happen here, because I honestly don't know why the Ellisons would even want to fire James Gunn. To me, that seems like the worst thing they possibly could do, because that would be the equivalent of just taking DC and burning it to the ground. Because I heard some people say, we're going to reboot Superman again and do it right this time. The audience isn't going to accept that.
No,
I mean, at what point is it really
optics
Superman?
Just the optics alone would look terrible. There are probably grumblings and rumblings over at Warner Brothers, and just like Marvin, I don't care for James Gunn. His aesthetic, sometimes I enjoy it.
The problem with Warner Brothers is you have a lot of internal strife inside Warner Brothers themselves. Like there are people inside the company who don't want David Zaslav as the president of the company.
Right.
Well, I mean,
that is the problem you have here. And this is where I look, and I agree with Andre. It may not be the person, the messenger, that has been biased in the situation. But going back to as far as like what, a year now or more, Warner Brothers has been for sale for Universal's going to buy it. Netflix is going to buy it. Now David Ellison's going to buy it. It's like, it's been an endless, but you know what? My point of this is, what's on the tail end of each one of those stories? Not only is he going to buy it, but he's going to restore the Snyderverse, whoever it is going to do it. That's where this shit's coming from every fucking time. I don't trust a single fucking thing. I don't care what it is, because the Snyder Bros, I'm sorry, I got to take a moment to do it, have poisoned the well so bad when it comes to this shit. They are as bad as the Kathleen Kennedy is being fired bullshit. It has gotten to that fucking level, and that's why I made the joke up front that David Ellison is going to save Hollywood and fire fucking David Zaslav and James Gunn and because I've heard other versions of the story, Marvin, where Zaslav isn't part of this story. And that's the thing where I've heard, there was a time where he was going to flip Warner Brothers, but I've also been hearing he kind of likes being a mogul. And even though it drives everybody nuts, that might be part of the reason why he likes it.
Yeah.
Because he's in there shaking shit up. And he doesn't want to go anywhere. So that's kind of what I've been hearing is, they're taking offers, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to sell anything. And a lot of people are acting like this is because of some failure. No, people are interested in Warner Brothers. Why? Because they're a hot ticket right now. Because Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have turned this fucking ship around. Like I have said for years, Mike DeLuca should have been running this goddamn company. Since Toby Emmerich got the job instead, Oh, and I'm talking years. We're talking decades ago. This goes back. This goes back to the New Line Cinema, Bob Shea, Ted Turner bullshit. This is some deep-rooted shit back in Warner Brothers, folks. Like, you guys got to understand, there's some deep dirt that goes on in this company, and it goes all the way back, and this is stuff that's still being cleaned out. And bringing Mike DeLuca back into the company was kind of a fucking maverick move on David Zaslav's part. Like, you guys don't understand that. Like, Mike DeLuca should have been the guy to get the job in the first place, but he upset somebody inside the company, and that's where Toby fucking I Stole Frequency, That's All I've Done, Emmerich got to run Warner Brothers into the goddamn ground. Because the guy who was actually a visionary, who goes, you know what? Let's take a chance on this, Mike DeLuca, he was the guy who was ousted, while this other fucking guy who was a corporate fucking ass sniffer, did everything that they could to fucking spend the company into fucking disaster, right? David Ellison is going to come in and do the same goddamn thing here he did over at Paramount. He's going to destroy the fucking company if he takes it, because that's exactly what he did to Paramount. The only thing that Ellison has done as far as I can tell, is that he made Paramount worthless so he could buy it for a song. Right now, Warner Brothers is worth something. That's why people want it. It is actually the one studio that's worth a shit. They have had nothing but hits come out of them, and the two failures they've had in the last couple of years that DeLuca and Abdi have had to deal with, the one of them you cannot blame on them. Joker 2 is no producer in Hollywood would have made a different deal or a better deal. You can't blame them for Joker 2. The only thing you can blame them for is Furiosa. Like, who the fuck made that decision? Joker 2, any other producer in Hollywood would have said, give it to him. Give Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix whatever the fuck they want, as long as Joker 2 happens. So that's why they're also being talked about as coming along with the package here, because they're part of the deal. I don't know how Abdi, I don't know shit about her, but I know Mike DeLuca. Right,
Yeah.
like that's the difference.
I hate to interrupt you, but Chris has to.
I do have to go. Yeah. But to Tom's point.
Sorry, Chris. I can't see the background.
That's okay. No need to apologize at all. I appreciate it. I think that one thing we should not forget is that sometimes there are people at Warner Brothers who are also Snyder Bros. There are people at Warner Brothers who are also trolls.
Yes.
There are people at Warner Brothers who are also Judas goats who will plant stories just for kicks or just to see who's leaking. So I appreciate Marvin's diplomatic and reserved take on this story. I also appreciate Matt McGlowan's bomb throwing, because he entertains me over at Cosmic Book News. And of course, that part plays. And of course, Bleeding Fool, we try to throw a few bombs now and again, but also try to keep it very reserved. Just like Andre tries to keep it very reserved, and Tom likes to throw a few bombs. I mean, we are all part of this big.
I'm a bomb.
Media.
Yeah. I just want to also draw another parallel just to illustrate. So nothing personal against like Matt, who did the original piece or anything like that. We see the same thing over at Paramount and Star Trek, where we have, like, say for instance, we have 3 different sources, and they will give us 3 different versions of the same story. And that doesn't mean that any of them are wrong. It only means that from their 3 different vantage points, they see 3 different things. And also, who knows what has been editorialized to them, like,
or what's been told. Exactly.
If they come from a part of the company where they're partisan and they hate David Zaslav and they hate James Gunn for it, a lot of wishful thinking is going to be conflated into the actual reporting. But I do not buy that Ellison has like this super duper strong desire to fire James Gunn, and if he does, that's burning DC to the ground, because whether you like him or not, now they kind of have to stay the course, because they can't reboot one more time. The audience isn't going to stand for it. They're going to throw the hands up in the air, and there will be zero excitement for another reboot. Did Superman underperform relative to what it should have done at the time when they greenlit it and they okayed the expenses? Yes, it did. At the same time, the bottom had fallen out of the market because of Marvel. No Superman movie was going to do any better no matter what, most likely. And the next one, no matter what happens, is going to do even worse, especially if they reboot again. Now they're in a position where James Gunn. He's going to have to make some adjustments, but they can't really change everything midstream like they did during the Snyder regime, when they really screwed up and changed everything in the aftermath of Batman v Superman. And the irony is that probably DC would have been in a stronger position if they had just stayed the course and made the change after that, rather than change the wheels while the train is in the motion.
I think Zaslav's probably worst mistake during the Snyder era was expecting The Rock to be a movie star for Black Adam.
Oh, that happened before him. I mean, that was
great. No,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just kind of being playful. I got to go, guys. I'm going to go watch that Wonder Man trailer again. And
oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Oh my God.
Happy Columbus Day. I'll see you guys later in the week. Appreciate it. Check
Chris.
out bleedingfool.com or at bleedingfool. And I'm at Chris Brawley. And of course, just one more source out there in the ecosystem of fun media. Talk to you guys later.
Take care. Thanks for joining. So yeah, Marvin, any final words on this DC thing before we move on to Wonder Man, because that would be fun to discuss.
I agree with what with everything Tom was saying. I think that Warner Brothers is such a dysfunctional company. This is a company that routinely sues itself. There are so many warring factions within Warner Brothers. Now, my thing is, even if I don't think you have to get rid of James Gunn. I think you have to put checks and balances on James Gunn, because James Gunn, when he has someone above him to say, hey, maybe no, can be phenomenal. But I think Peacemaker is what you get when you let Peacemaker season 2 is what you get when you just let him off the leash and let him do whatever he wants. Because right now, I think what he's doing is he's creating content for James Gunn and for nobody else. So a reboot is definitely not the way to go. If James Gunn quit tomorrow and packed it up and left, you have to continue with Corn Sweat as Superman in the universe that's good. You cannot hit the reset button again.
Well, the thing is with that is that James, for better or worse, the whole reason DC Studios exists is so that they could have, somebody who has a vision. And I mean, it's his choices for better or worse on all ends and fronts. And I get what you're saying. Like, at least Superman, he was more reserved. He knew that couldn't be an R-rated movie, right?
Yeah.
But Peacemaker is him being more James Gunn, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I at least see that vision of it. I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you wholeheartedly. But at the same time, it's like, okay, they just did this in the whole point that they needed somebody who could actually run DC as a Kevin Feige type creative. That's why he's got the power that he has right now. And that's another reason why I think it's going to be nearly impossible to just quote unquote fire him, because DC Films is almost technically like its own different company now, right? It'd be like if somebody just came in and bought Disney. That's not going to change who runs Lucasfilm, and that's not going to change who runs Marvel.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, Tom. And I also agree that the people that think that the way back from this is to just hand it back to Snyder are the biggest idiots on the planet, because Snyder has already proven that he couldn't do it. Snyder said the only way another thing that Cosmic Book said was Snyder said that the only way he'd ever come back is if he could do an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. And I'm like, I thought you already did that, because we all know The Dark Knight Returns is the only comic book that Zack Snyder has ever read, and he didn't understand it. I'm convinced. But on the second hand, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought about Watchmen. I thought about 300. And then I was like, he's not bad at adapting someone else's work. I think the problem with Snyder is when he tries to write himself.
Yeah, he needs a screenwriter. If he just directs and someone else, like for instance, you know what I think would be perfectly fine? If I agree, James Gunn needs checks and balances. This is the problem with the MCU, for instance. Kevin Feige did absolutely fine as long as there were checks and balances. Yeah. When he wanted to do something stupid or something, well, it wasn't necessarily stupid, but when he wanted to do something unconventional, he had to argue and defend his decision to do so for the Marvel Creative Committee. And they would exactly, and they would okay it if it was good, and then he would moan in the media after about, oh, I had to fight for this. Yeah, and then you got it. And the things that he didn't have to fight for, that he just did afterwards anyway, after he removed the checks and balances, it destroyed Marvel. which only goes to show that he did amazing as long as there were checks and balances. And I agree, James Gunn needs checks and balances, because otherwise he can easily make the same mistake. Like every great writer, they have a great, well, most of the time they have a great editor, which can make things better. I mean, even Robert E. Howard, his editor, was instrumental in the Conan stories being as good as they were, because he was able to like spot things that the author himself didn't. That just for that reason alone, you need an editor. You need someone above you who can be like a check and balance. James Gunn doesn't have that, and that's how you can have Peacemaker season 2. If there was checks and balances, it could be the same basic story, but the execution could be better, because of course we would have given him that feedback necessary. Like, you can't have like the story happen in the last 3 episodes and the first 5 be pure meandering. Should have been 1. That feedback alone would have made the whole thing better, right? But there's a big difference between that and him being fired altogether. He needs oversight. But the big difference here is that if he gets oversight, just to go back to where I started, if he gets oversight and he wrote a script for Zack Snyder to shoot, and he handed it to Snyder and said, here it's done. Now you point the camera and shoot.
Yep.
That would turn out amazing.
Agreed. I love Watchmen. I think Watchmen is fantastic.
I agree too.
So you know, he can do it when he's not the writer, because he is a visual director. Now, you know, you hit the nail on the head with James Gunn. The checks and balances are definitely needed, and not everything needs his sense of humor in it. Like if Brave and the Bold comes out and it's all his poo poo pee pee caca, oh, he's standing right behind me, isn't he, sense of humor, I'm going to lose my mind.
I hope that they change the entire concept there, because I have to say what worries me much more than poop jokes and oh, he's standing right behind me is the whole concept from the get-go of bringing in the worst Robin, which is his son. That's what has me freaking worried about that movie.
The one thing that I'm okay with, because I think I have an idea of where I think they're going with it, and I think it gets us to the Red Hood. It gets us to Jason Todd as an antagonist for a movie, and I want that movie.
Yeah, that I'm okay with. But,
the way I would do Brave and the Bold is, you know, Damian ends up staying with Batman at the end of it, turns his back on Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins, and then it ends with Ra's digging up Jason and being like, "You took my boy, I'm going to take yours," and throwing his body into the Lazarus pit. That's how I would do it.
Yeah. Tom, any final words on that before we get into Super Chat? All right, Tom yielded his time. Kelechi Oki says for $2, unrelated, Trump stopped war in Middle East, wait for spin. Yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize Committee in Norway, they're praying for that thing to fall apart. All the leftists in Europe, they're really praying, oh, please fall apart. We want peace, but not this way.
Yeah,
So,
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear how him negotiating a ceasefire is the most evil thing that anyone has ever done ever in the history of the world.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite the sight to behold, the media. And then Cannon Barnes says for $5, Thomas incorrect. The 20th Century and HBO deal expired after 10 years in 2022. Afterwards, all 20th Century films go to either Hulu or Disney Plus at Disney's choice. Good point. Those things sometimes come with the deadline. Chuck Norris kicks Kurtzman's ass, says for 14 South African rands. I think we dodged a bullet with Kurtzman Kirk show. Yeah, we'll have more details on that. Stay tuned for a video in hopefully the next few days here. Pete Then Cat, commenting on this story, says, could be fired. I could win the lottery if I bought a ticket. Bit of case of ambulance chasing, don't you think? And
I don't necessarily disagree. It definitely could be. I don't have Matt's I don't know who his source is, so that's why I reported on it the way I did.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what, Andre, what we also have seen, like we called Daniel Rickman out when he tried to say that Hunter Schafer was going to be playing Zelda, because we found out through one of our sources that originated with Hunter Schafer's agency, PR firm. Yeah, so we were able to kind of dispute that, and that is a thing that happens. A lot of these leakers, the PR agencies and talent agencies will go to them and feed them information that they want out there in the media to generate buzz for their client. So you always have to take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem with Warner Bros., David Zaslav, James Gunn, or anybody involved in that. And I take everything with a grain of salt. Again, I reiterate, it's not so much Cosmic Book News. I agree with Andre. Their sources, maybe this is what they're getting from their source. But I feel like this is really sprinkled with a lot of hopeful thinking, wishful thinking, that kind of stuff. Maybe came from a camp that's very hopeful that there's going to be some hope that DC will get sold off to Netflix or some crap, because that's another thing they keep beating that drum over there with Snyder Bros. Like,
yeah,
look, at the end of the day, when it comes to Warner Brothers,
yeah. Sorry, Tom.
No, I was just saying I don't believe anything anymore unless I think it comes from an actual source.
It smells like ulterior motive all the way. And again, I am not accusing the author from Cosmic Book News of anything. Hell, I'm not even accusing his first source. It could be, where did the information for the source come from? I mean, it could be someone says, this guy, he leaks. Let's tell him this. I mean, I'm speculation here. I'm just saying that I do not trust the lettering of this particular scoop without there being a shade of suspicion against anyone that actually wrote it. They did what they had to do. But then it's up to all of us to be critical of what we heard and try to see through what may be behind the story. And we are in a better position to do that because we have frequently received such scoops ourselves of a similar nature. So we know exactly how this game can be.
Well, I mean, I have a couple sources for Warner Brothers, and one of them that
have you heard anything from your sources?
Nothing personal. Well, what I was going to bring up though is one of them that I used to use that no longer feeds me info anymore, because I guess maybe they just aren't working with Warner Brothers anymore or whatever. I mean, I knew they were a Snyder Bro, right? Like, so I took a lot of what they were saying, certain aspects of it, with grains of salt, because either they themselves were sprinkling it with that, or they were embellishing what they were getting from their source because of the, they would get excited over it or what have you. And you said, like, it's you got to kind of know how to step back and take a look at all angles of these things. And that's what I love when we have at least a few sources. And 9 times out of 10 with our videos, we don't go unless we have more than one source because of that specific reason. Because if we can't find links then that's usually all we get into, is like whatever we can find that links up that matches. Otherwise, we leave the rest of it out, because then it just makes us look like we're doing nothing but tabloid trash.
Exactly. And this is, for instance, is part of the reason why Star Trek videos are so few and far between. It's not just because they're not all that popular anymore, because the Star Trek brand has been destroyed. It's a matter of, we need to hear from multiple sources, because we know from experience, and again, all love to our sources, but sometimes the information that they are fed may not necessarily be incorrect, but it doesn't necessarily capture the full picture. And again, because this is something I know in Paramount, and I'm guarantee you in Warner as well, one source from one vantage point is going to have a different story from another source that is at a different vantage point, a different part of the company. None of them are wrong. It's just a matter of what do they see from where they are. So we try to
also, it matters how close they are to certain sources and other things too. You could be getting secondary information, and it can even matter about where, like, is it just bullshit talk that's coming from like the hairdressers, or is it somebody who's actually an assistant to somebody, or who actually, handles transportation or something like that? Like, is it somebody who's actually hands-on in the situation, or are they people that are just in the rumor mill? Like, there's that aspect of it too. There's so many different things that go into this stuff.
And I would not be shocked if James Gunn personally responds to this rumor, because he responds to pretty much every rumor.
His detriment, yes.
Yes, to his detriment. So I'm going to be watching that. But by the way, that Netflix rumor, the co-CEO poured some cold water on that last week, where he said that basically they're not interested in buying anything. His quote was, and I think this was a shot at Bob Iger, he said, "We're builders, not buyers."
Yeah.
Well,
And
that
you know
could
what
be.
that tells me? I think that whole story was in order to drive to make Warner more agreeable to talk. Like, hey, if you don't want to talk, we can talk to Netflix instead.
Right.
That's what that rumor's like. I didn't believe that rumor for half a second, other than someone put that out there deliberately, because this also sometimes happens, that stories are fed to serve a purpose and an ulterior motive. And that especially is true when the leaker is someone high up. Like, for instance, when the leak comes from the office of Bob Iger or something like that. And you can recognize those scoops, because that's like when you have like the Deadline Hollywoods and Varieties and say sources inform us. Okay, then most likely it came from the source of Bob Iger or the people on the other side of the room or something. And this is put out there not because it's true, but to feed a certain narrative and to weaken or strengthen certain parties in upcoming negotiations. So there's a strategy behind them. I mean, I've seen that before. I've had people leak me stories of like, this does not pass the smell test. Like this, I think you're trying to use me here.
Well, and we saw this just this recent last week's here with the Jimmy Kimmel situation, right? There's a whole thing where, like, you know, he didn't want to apologize and he wanted to clarify what he was saying. And then ABC and, well, Dana Walden especially said no. And if you can't, they had to come to some kind of compromise. Well, then we had the story in Rolling Stone, and I think it was a Deadline or Hollywood Reporter. One of those come out and basically said what, you know, running interference for Kimmel, trying to explain what he meant. And I flat out said, and I think a couple of us on the panel said the same thing, like, yeah, this smells like somebody in his camp leaked this when they told him he couldn't come out and explain himself. This is what he was going to say. And that was pretty much confirmed, because I can't remember who he was on an interview with this last week here, but he pretty much doubled down on all the bullshit again. Like he pretty much undid any good he said and doubled down on the bullshit and pretty much reiterated what was in those stories. And he was running with this idea that he didn't do anything wrong. And other people misinterpreted him. And it was, of course, MAGA's fault for doing this. And he was still being censored and canceled, right? Like it's,
of course.
Yeah. So like we said, these stories get fed to the press all the fucking time on purpose. Because, and you brought this up in the more recent Tron video as well, right? Because Disney is one of the worst for this shit, where you're constantly seeing stories where they're, you know, spinning it in some direction to make Disney look good, right? Like, how often do we get and I know Marvin will love these, you know, how, you know, their more recent Snow White was the biggest opening for a Disney movie on a Tuesday with no other films opening. You know, it's like they come up with these random, like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah, they any excuse to like make, oh, it's the biggest opening of Rachel Zegler's career. Okay, well, Rachel Zegler's openings have been like West Side Story and, you know, just nothing. So, or I forget, the Smashing Machine, they were like, oh, it's the biggest opening of this director's career. I was like, oh, okay, well, what were his other movies?
A commercial for Burger King. Like,
far lower budget than $50 million.
Yeah. But let's move on with these super chats here. We have Chuck Norris kicks Kurtzman's ass, who says for 14 South African rounds, and we thank you. 0% chance Paramount buys Warner, and it goes via the FTC. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
It would definitely be a fight. It would certainly be a fight. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. And Kelly Chioki sent us 2 in a row, saying for $5. Ellison is just trying to buy his way to victory. What has Paramount released that was a hit besides Maverick since its relation with Skydance?
I mean, they've had a lot of
Warner Studio, but realized it lacked any true IP. Ellison is after Warner for the IPs. That's it. Without this, if there were a way to remove Gunn, it's a plus.
Well, Kalecki is right though. Sorry, Marvin. I just gotta say, like, he's right. Like, name one thing that Skydance has really been a part of that they haven't attached themselves to.
True.
That was a hit, right? Like, they have very, very, very few original properties that are hits, and the things that they have attached themselves to, they generally tend to destroy or bring J.J. Abrams in, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, 90% of the shit that is wrong with Paramount has to do with Skydance, whether it's the Star Trek franchise, the Transformers franchise. Hell, we're probably lucky that I think they have very little to do with like I think Mission Impossible and stuff like that anymore. But I think that's just because of attachments from previous stuff. But maybe I'm wrong. But even then, they're just giving Tom Cruise money. They're lucky to have Tom Cruise in charge of that business. And even that's failing on them. Look at how bad the last 2 Mission Impossible movies have failed. Like nothing that Skydance has ever produced for Paramount or mostly any other company has really been a major hit that it wasn't already a major IP. I can't think of anything offhand. Somebody please in the chat if you have anything, go for it. But like I'm pressed. I'd have to go look. And I can't because I have no internet on my computer right now. So yeah.
You know, it's funny with like all the Star Trek stuff, you know, they're like, oh, well, Kurtzman, his days are numbered, blah, blah, blah. And at New York Comic Con, we got the male Klingon in a skirt. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think we're out of this yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is Ellison and Kurtzman, do they have a history? Not that I really know of, but Kurtzman comes from the JJ camp of things.
Yep.
And a lot of what they brought into this was it's supposed to be more like the 2009 Star Trek. And who produced that? Skydance, right? Like that's what I try to remind people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have no, I don't think that there's going to be any salvation for Star Trek at the end of the day here.
The one thing that Ellison's done already that I am a big fan of was putting Barry Weiss in charge of CBS News, putting an actual centrist in charge of a news organization. That's a thing that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. So hopefully,
and he may be a conservative, but he's probably more of a California conservative, which is barely
right.
Which just means he likes money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, really, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not saying he's going to turn these companies woke, but that doesn't change the fact that they haven't put out garbage for the last 20 years. But anyway, go ahead and keep going with super chats, Andre.
Yeah, indeed. Richard the Dungeon Crawler says for $10, thank you so much. How do we get Henry Cavill to get another shot in the red and blue? I'll answer this real simple. You don't. Accept it.
Look, I won't say you won't just because of, you know, we made the mistake of being too finite with the Justice League thing, even though we were the only people that I know of that were actually hedging it a little bit by saying the only way it happens is if this and that all happen and these stars line up. Well, those stars happen to have lined up mainly because of COVID and HBO Max or whatever when it came to Justice League, or not so much COVID because it was before Justice, that was after. But you know, HBO Max launching and whatnot. At the end of the day, like there is like next to zero chance of this ever unless somebody happens to buy Warner Brothers who happens to be a huge fucking Snyder bro, and they've got a deep set of pockets.
That's the one way. Yeah, Ellison.
Yeah,
if Ellison is a huge fan of Henry Cavill as Superman, then it's going to happen. This is true. Yeah, this is the one kind of stars aligning where that actually could happen. That is if Ellison Jr. with his daddy's money is able to get the entire studio and he personally wants to see Henry Cavill back as Superman, yeah, then it is going to happen. Beyond that, the business case for it is done. It's really a matter of business case because most of the people in Hollywood, they're not consumers of their own product. They don't know the market. They have no understanding of that. What they have an understanding for is the numbers. And here's what the numbers said. And that is Man of Steel. I personally am a big fan of Man of Steel, even the next neck. But the fact of the matter is that given the market conditions when it came out in 2013, it underperformed relative to expectations. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, then it doesn't matter that movie. It doesn't matter that Man of Steel in the end performed stronger than than Superman is doing right now. Different market, different world. The bottom has fallen out of the market in the case of Superman. It was still in an upwards trend at the time of Man of Steel. And Man of Steel bucked that upwards trend. And it was a major disappointment for the studio. And then, of course, all of the other movies that Henry Cavill was in as Superman after that were bigger disappointments for the studio. And the last time he was in Superman was Black Adam, which was a massive flop, and he didn't get one extra butt in seat, or if he did, it wasn't many enough that it mattered. Now, that is not a criticism against Henry Cavill. I like his Superman. I'm just saying that from the perspective of any Hollywood executive who are reading the numbers, there is absolutely no business case for bringing him back, because when they did that in Black Adam, 0 butts were brought into seats. So there's no reason to think that that suddenly is going to change. The business case for it isn't there. So the only way it happens is if Ellison happens to be a fan of Henry Cavill and he wants that Superman. That's the only scenario in which I can see it happening. Ain't nothing that we can do to make that happen.
And let's be clear, none of what, and I agree with you, because anything I've ever said is nothing against Henry Cavill or his Superman. That's not the problem. The problem was the vision. The problem was Batman v Superman. The problem was you put Superman in a movie where the last time that character was in a movie, Batman, I mean, they brought in $1 billion the last 2 times out, right? Basically. Yeah. But when you combined him with Henry Cavill's Superman, even if it was Ben Affleck, it doesn't matter. The fact that Batman couldn't muster $1 billion, that was what gave them pause, and that was what made them reconfigure Justice League. Because what happened with Justice League? That's where you need to pay attention, and this is where Snyder Bros and other people trying to compare Man of Steel to Superman, and where I say that is kind of comparing apples to oranges, because that wasn't the problem. As much as I personally didn't like Man of Steel, I'll be the first to admit that wasn't the problem. Man of Steel performed decently. It was BVS that fell off a fucking cliff, and the vision of that film, the darkness, the problems they had with it, that they decided to completely reconfigure the Justice League. And it had nothing to do with Snyder's daughter dying. It had nothing to do with any of that stuff. It had all to do with they needed to change the vision. What changed in that movie? Watch them back to back. Superman is Superman in Justice League. In the
Thank you.
Version. That's the fucking difference. That's the main difference. Otherwise, the movie is exactly the same.
Every time I say that, Tom, I get screamed at by people who are like, "Oh, Justice League stinks." Well, no, he was Superman in that movie. Finally, sorry.
No, the movie sucks ass, but you get the Superman moments are Superman.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. So to round out that discussion, how do we get Henry Cavill to get another shot in red and blue? You accept that it's extremely unlikely to happen. My best advice.
When
less of a chance than the Snyder Justice League was my point. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead, Marvin.
I love when he shows up at the end with Steppenwolf. It wins in the Snyderverse when he just sneers at him and goes, "Not impressed." I'm like, that's not Superman. When he shows up and he's like, "Well, I believe in truth, and I'm also a huge fan of justice," and then goes to Batman and says, "How can I help?" And then immediately hears that people are in danger and goes to help them. I'm like, that was him being Superman, facial CGI notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Not only that, you had the Flash scene at the end and stuff like that. Joss was clearly that was his his charge from the studio was make Superman more Superman. Like that was probably what they told him.
And I think Cavill probably loved it because he is a Superman fan. When he sees Barry and they're going, he goes slowpoke. Like that's Superman being Superman.
Yeah.
The movie stinks though.
And then Jason Webster, he gives an update on the 16th Korea Drama Awards: Friendly Rivalry 3, Good Boy 2, Buried Hearts 2, The Haunted Palace 2, Our Unwritten Soul 1, Our Movie 1, Head Over Heels 1. Well, thanks for the update. The Korea Drama Awards fans will be sure to appreciate that.
They are head over heels for that, I bet.
Yeah. And Jason Webster continues, for those who maybe aren't too interested, with this on topic. For $5 Australian, yes, checks and balances on Gunn. He only directs a Justice League film and no more writing screenplays. Gunn's DC lineup needs some changes. Some checks and balances for that.
Some people agree with that. I'm on the camp of where I think let's let him cook a little bit longer before, but that's just me.
We already know also that Lanterns is going to be, R-rated as well, which I'm just like, why are we making our like mainline Justice League heroes now R-rated? Like it makes no sense to me to Marvin, make a superhero universe where we can't involve kids.
I get what you're coming from, but I mean that's part of the appeal of what was different. Like, look, Marvel is pretty like ham-fisted, or not ham-fisted. They're pretty hands tied with what they can and cannot do over there, right?
Yeah.
I know that's one thing that James didn't like. So for better or for worse, over here, they're going to let James do what he wants one way or the other. I don't disagree with you that he should probably stick with a specific tone, but as long as he keeps these shows separate from the movies, which I think he's aware they have to be, then I think things will be okay, because that's the bigger problem we have here, is that with Shield, it was fine because Shield didn't affect the movies. The movies could affect Shield. You have the opposite problem with the other Marvel shows, though, where you have to have seen not Black Widow, but WandaVision to understand, Multiverse of Madness, for instance, right? So that's a problem. As long as you don't have to have seen Peacemaker to understand Man of Tomorrow, then I think we're okay. But
Which
I
he said
do
you don't.
understand
He said
where
you don't
he's
have
coming
to, so that's a good thing. Sorry,
No, I think that Tom just got interrupted connection-wise there,
Oh.
but yeah, I agree with that. Moving on with the super chats, Cannon Bond says for $2, Kimmel did say the anti-group doesn't exist. Yeah, it's gaslighting 101 from a propagandist, which is what he is.
He wasn't the only one who said it either. I mean, the call clearly went out.
Yeah. Now it's a matter of denying reality and everything that was covered in the world news in the summer of love. And also, you had like a dude in Norway claiming to say that, no people has ever died at the hands of Antifa. Yeah, apart from all the people during the summer of love. But yeah, it's awesome to ignore reality. Jason Webster says, now showing Tron Airy Fairy, a film with the story lighter than air. Yeah, they wish that's probably what they need rather than trying to go far intellectual. And Corrine says for $19.99. Thank you, Corrine. Media full of shit. But truth is, what's important, ceasefire was negotiated by Trump in January 2. That didn't last. Yeah, remember that. I pray it lasts this time, and if it does, he should get the credit. But peace precedent isn't a factual description of Trump. Well, I don't know that anyone here used that description. I know I certainly haven't. Maybe he's referred to that. Maybe he wants to be referred to that. And I agree that is a little bit premature, though I will say he is closer to deserve that description than many other past presidents. But hey, let's see what happens. Let's hope that this thing lasts. And if it doesn't, well, I do believe that part of the deal was then Israel is free to do what they want. So that should be very interesting. Of course, that's a very good incentive for Hamas to actually stick by the deal, because if they thought they had it bad before. No, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I'm in agreement. I think we have to wait and see what happens with the ceasefire, because we've had hope before, but I don't know. This one seems a little different. People are actually starting to return to their homes. As long as those hostages
they're returning the hostages, right? Are they saying all the remaining hostages, all of which are men, by the way? That says something about what happened to all the female hostages.
Yeah. So have they all been returned? Because I think that's going to be the sticking point.
I think that was, I don't know if it has happened, but that apparently was the claim. There was like some lists released of these are the remaining ones, and that was a list exclusively of men. And if they have been released or not, I don't know. But yeah, let's hope so for them and for everyone else involved, because yeah, horrible thing going on there. So fingers crossed for the best outcome for as many people as possible. But that Hamas is going to lay down their weapons permanently, we'll see how long this lasts. We'll see how long. Yeah. And Tim Hayes has been a member for 51 months. And we're glad to have you. And Pilgrim Media says, Andre, loved your video about Tron. Yeah, do check that out. As usual, as we've seen a lot lately, the algorithm really doesn't like pushing our content anymore. So it would be awesome if you guys could just check the channel, see the videos which are out there, especially the Tron video, like it, help share it a little bit. Also do the same thing with the stream. And before we go, did you by chance see the trailer for Wonder Man?
I did.
What did you think about it? Share your thoughts on the Wonder Man trailer.
It looks just absolutely terrible. It looks like Marvel is trying to sound like they're in on the joke, like they're in on there being superhero fatigue. They're in on the joke about the race swaps and stuff like that. And I guarantee you, and I don't know, Tom, I'm sure you probably agree with me on this. This is going to be just another Marvel property where
I didn't
we,
watch
the
trailer,
fans.
but yeah.
Oh, you didn't see the trailer?
Oh, you didn't miss out. But it's
The
basically
only thing I
both
wondered
in
is
their
why I
Marvel
should watch
version.
the trailer.
Yeah, it's I think we're going to get to the point where once again we are the villains of this.
I think so too. I think it looks like a self-indulgent disaster. I mean, this is like another example of those things where, like, people in Hollywood, they make things that matter to them, that they think is profound, which means that you get a movie about the ins and outs of the film industry because, oh, that's so clever. And all of their friends, also in the film industry, they'll totally be in on the joke and think it's all brilliant and genius. I think this thing is going to be a complete and total disaster, as I always did. This thing is going to further damage the MCU. I can't believe they actually greenlit it. And not only do you still have all of the negatives on paper with, like, the changes made to Wonder Man, let's put it this way. Now you even have, like, the behind the scenes of the insanity in Hollywood, where they get to be so clever, sharing the things that they think that everyone in the world is going to be able to relate to. The behind the scenes shenanigans. My God. It's such a self-indulgent garbage. I don't look forward to it in the slightest. Yeah, it looks like She-Hulk all over again. I mean, I'd be more interested in seeing a movie about janitors or plumbers and the ins and outs and difficulties of their work. Or like, we have to go back and figure out this pipe, or we have to solve this thing. That, honestly, that would be more interesting than Hollywood's take on Hollywood and on comic book movies, and probably problematic fans who are going to be the villains here. So no, I'm not excited for this in the slightest. I mean, I will say it's better than the trailer for Ironheart. Yeah, I mean,
anything's better than
that was like an insulting joke.
If that's our bar now, Andre, we're in big trouble.
But that is the bar. That's the thing with Marvel on Disney Plus. That is the bar. That's the whole point. So yeah, not impressed in the slightest. I'm just gonna see if there is something on the green machine. If we have something there, just give me a second.
Tom, did you say you didn't watch that trailer?
He said he didn't see it. Yes, that is what he said. As far as I can see, there is nothing on the green machine. If there is, and I missed it, we will get back to it on Friday. But meanwhile, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks to Marvin, who is still here. Thanks to Chato, and to Paulie, and to Brawley that had to bow out already. But Marvin, plug your wares.
Check out Toontown TV is my YouTube channel. You can check it out. We've got videos up right now about James Gunn, about The Rock. We do our morning show at 9 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have our Toonie Talk TV live stream on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night, we're doing Toonie Talk Wrestling over on the Toontown Wrestling channel, my other channel. And we're going to be talking about Halloween Havoc 1998. On that one. So make sure you tune into that. And of course, keep it to thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun.
Indeed. Links to that and everyone else is in the description. Just stay tuned. You'll be transferred over to Paulie stream. Check back for later videos before you know it. And Tom, any final words, or are you still lost in space? Tom is lost in space. So with that, we bring out the koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fuss together. Koalas in the rain.